So, an article from The Athletic came out talking about the AFC West division, and number one, unsurprisingly, was the Kansas City Chiefs. Number two, the Denver Broncos, and then number three, the Los Angeles Chargers. The current over and under is at 9.5 wins. Of course, last season we finished with 10. No reason to why that shouldn't be surpassed, considering the fact of all the moves that we're about to get into this offseason. The biggest issue, though, was the middle of the defense. The Buffalo Bills just went absolutely off running the football against us. We saw them go out there and have a total of 44 rushes for 210 yards. Obviously, you're not going to be able to win a football game giving up that much yards on the ground because, for one, that's a lot of yards to begin with. But for two, especially running the ball, it's going to drain the clock, and it's just playing possession. So the Broncos realize that, and what do? They go out and they get Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, two former 49ers that, when at their best, are really as good as it gets in the NFL, especially Greenlaw, absolute monster. And of course, they're going to be able to pair with Alex Singleton, who missed most of last season with a torn ACL. So all of a sudden, a weakness becomes a strength. And also on the opposite side of the ball, going out there and improving the skill positions. We saw, of course, in the second round of the draft, the Broncos got RJ Harvey. And then they also go out there, they bring in Evan Ingram in free agency. They go out and they draft Pat Bryant. Defensively, adding in Hukum, Jade Barron to play the nickel. Of course, Jaquan McMillan previously had been there. So the team overall is significantly better. It was already a really good Broncos team. It's just they ran into the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park in the wild card, and it's like your worst nightmare to be able to play there, just given the fact of the Bills. They got Josh Allen is as good as it gets. They got a good defense. They're well coached, and Orchard Park's a huge home field advantage as well. But talking about why the Broncos are going to be better going into next season, it's pretty simple. All the moves we've talked about, but it's also much more than that. It's going to be the previous rookies taking that second year leap, like Marvin Mims Jr., of course. Weeks 13 to 18. He broke out 23 catches, 431 yards, and 5 touchdowns during those final 5 games. He also had an unbelievable catch, of course, where I can't even repeat that because it's not allowed on YouTube. But we're talking about the best catch of the Broncos season was, of course, against the Bengals. Just in three guys around him, and he goes up and gets it. It was ridiculous. That was one of the better games of the season. In terms of what the Broncos are going to have to accomplish next year, well, they got an amazing offensive line, new skill positions. J.K. Dobbins, I even mentioned him. RJ Harvey's a big time pickup. Dobbins to complement him is going to be good. And you got to understand that the Broncos, they ended up giving Javonte Williams 8.2 carries per game, which led the team. The running backs had one more touchdown, 7, then fumble, 6. So now you have more of a balance, you have more explosiveness, and it's going to be a lot better to be able to, for Bo Nix to be able to hand the ball off to these guys and let them dominate. And the Broncos' offensive line was top 10 in run blocking, and they were number 1 in pass blocking. So there's really no reason at all to not be able to run the football. They just didn't have good enough backs. They got some young ones that I like as well. You take a look at, like, for example, Audric Estime, I like a lot. Even Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, I like these backs, but it's just not good enough. You're not going to be able to compete in this AFC West with that, and the Broncos realize that. But in terms of Bo Nix, he's going to be the story for how far this team can go because I thought his rookie season was absolutely sensational. It might not have been as dynamic per se as Jaden Daniels, but the consistency was there. Nix didn't take sacks. He didn't turn the ball over. He used his legs when he needed to. I mean, Bo Nix took off a ton. Even when he was unpressured in the pocket, he can pick up yards and first downs with his legs, which makes him dangerous. We also didn't have anything outside of Cortland Sutton to be able to throw to. So you have no run game. You have essentially one receiver, at least through the first 13 weeks of the season prior to that Marvin Mims breakout. So it's kind of easy to see why the ceiling was capped off by the Broncos. But because their defense overall was so good and Bo Nix was a stud, they were able to get to the playoffs as a wild card and win 10 games. Now, Bo Nix threw for 29 touchdowns, 3,775 yards, had a 56.8 QBR, only 12 picks as a rookie, too, in this tough of a division is very, very impressive. Of course, against the Bills, the whole team was kind of flat. It was a blowout. Nix ended up throwing for just 144 yards, did have a touchdown, of course, in that opening drive, but not good enough. The team just wasn't good enough, but it kind of makes sense because, Russell Wilson is still being paid to this point by the Denver Broncos, but the dead cap was through the roof last season, and they were handicapped in free agency. But we saw Denver this time around have more money, more flexibility, and they were able to go out there and make some moves and get it done. But in terms of this upcoming season, to me, it's all about legitimately trying to win the AFC West division. The Chiefs has been going on for too long. They just continue to get it done and to win games. And the Broncos, they've been, the Chargers have played the Chiefs well, but the Broncos have been the one team that they just match up so well with Kansas City because they can beat them up front. But now they have a legit quarterback. Russell Wilson wasn't bad by any means. It wasn't exactly, he didn't live up to the price that it costed us to get him. But Bo Nix, you can tell he's just fearless. He goes out there and he just makes winning plays. And now you got the trenches that can be able to match up with them. You've got Bo Nix, who we believe in at QB. Now you fix the interior of the defense, of course. Not the defensive line, but just like the middle of the defense, like safety and linebacker and Singleton coming back is going to be huge. Special teams for the Broncos as well. I always remember that kick that they were trying to win the game, of course, in Arrowhead, and it ended up getting blocked. So it's like things like that, of course, and getting off the faster, quicker starts is going to be huge. But I think Bo Nix is legitimately set up for success. I think he's in a great situation. He has a great opportunity here to win a lot of games. And Sean Payton and Bo Nix, hoping that that can be the future of the NFL, just like Sean Payton and Drew Brees was. They were so great together. They won a lot of games and accomplished some of the better offenses we've seen. But now can the Broncos do that? And I think they've got the pieces to be able to. But it's going to have to start with the run game so that way you can open up play action and just get Bo Nix also moving out on bootlegs and get him into the space, of course, because it's just to be a little bit creative. The Broncos, it seemed like a lot of the times they were throwing deep or they were throwing underneath. They were throwing a screen or something like that. So I think attacking the intermediate part of the field should definitely be an emphasis. And it kind of makes sense because the way the Broncos were constructed, they had so much speed. So it was get blockers out in front or just run deep and let Bo Nix hit you. But throwing to other areas of the field, so like 10 yards out, 15 yards out, I think that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to seeing the Broncos and if they're able to improve on that. But Evan Ingram is such a big pickup because down in the red zone, he's as good as it gets at that tight end position. And obviously, we know that he is just an absolute monster. Just one on one, he's gonna be a mismatch nightmare. He can block. He's quick enough to be able to even throw tight end screens too. So I expect Peyton to get super creative. He was handicapped a lot last year. Even like you look the previous year, there's just only so much you can do unless you have that team that you want. But the Broncos have that, and to me, it's all about just overachieving. Last year, I thought the Broncos overachieved with a rookie Bo Nix. They won 10 games, made the playoffs. Now it's about, hey, can you win the division? Can you go and compete for a Super Bowl? There's a lot of good teams in the AFC with the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens, and certainly the Cincinnati Bengals aren't going anywhere even though they missed the playoffs. They're going to only be getting better.